2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a quorum. All right, thanks for joining online. Tuesday. All right, no citizens here. Did any citizens reach out, Robin?
No.
No. Okay. January minutes. February minutes. April minutes. February minutes. Anybody have any changes? I thought these were extremely comprehensive per usual. Anyone has changes, additions, things to add? Anybody? If not, can we get a motion to approve?
I will motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. Anybody against, opposed? Okay.
Or
Huh?
didn't vote for.
Me. Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody
In favor.
in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. Sorry, Robin.
No, that's okay. Literally never have to do this again if you
Right.
want to. Right.
All right, administrative reports. I just have a couple things to mention. The first one is Pam has resigned. She attended through the Residence Academy. She was a great help through the Residence Academy. She took created a bunch of notes and observations, which were really helpful, things that can be improved upon, things we can change. She provided them to me and Stephanie, and I've given them to Robin and Ann as well. So they're available for, if I'm happy to share them with whoever would like them, but really good observations. But she has resigned. Her reason was that she has other things going on and doesn't have the time to continue volunteering. So I did inform Ann. Ann's been made aware so that she can put this on the list of positions to fill if that's what happens. The other thing I'll mention is I did meet with Ann. We had a really great conversation outside of this meeting, just to provide some background that I had been wanting to give to her about work that had happened before she got here, and a bit about the group, at least from my observation, my perspective. So I was able to provide that to her. We had a really good conversation. That was a couple weeks ago. But that's all I have. So she's running late. We're gonna skip over her and go to Laura.
I wanted to share with you a story that we are running in the April magazine. April is Autism Awareness Month. And that's not why we ran the story then, although when we had the choice of months, I thought that's a good one to put it. It is, if you can get through it with a dry eye, there's something wrong with you. It is a Mount Lebanon family. A middle school student wrote an essay of what it was like when he found out his baby sister had autism. See, it's gonna make me cry now talking about it. He just did such a beautiful, from a child's eye, of how we as a family handled this. It's a gorgeous story. The family was okay with us coming in and taking pictures and really sharing their story with us. So it's just really a firsthand account. A lot of times we hear it from the parents' perspective when it's kids. This is what it's like to be the big brother and look at your sister and think, why can't I fix this? It's beautiful. And then there's some resources on the side for families who are looking for places to go to get assistance with dealing with the issues. So I'm so grateful to that family for sharing their story. Again, one of the things we talk about when it comes to inclusion is not everybody wants to be the center of attention, but again, representation is important, and I think it will help other families going through the same thing to let them know they're not alone. So I just wanted to let you know that that is coming.
Anything else, Laura? All right, Robin.
Not really anything, just I'll do two quick things. Two-time Pulitzer Prize winner Colson Whitehead will be performing for our Mount Lebanon Speaker Series at the end of April. And we're down to less than 100 tickets. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, they tend to sell out usually early in the month of the event. So this is a good time to get your tickets if you haven't already.
Who'd you say it was?
Colson Whitehead. He wrote The Underground Railroad, Nickel Boys. He's actually written in pretty much every genre, like historical fiction, autobiographies, essays, nonfiction. He wrote a book about zombies. Like, he's written everything. So there's something for everybody. And the bookseller has been collecting his titles all year. So they have some of his titles for sale. If you want to get an autographed book, that's a really affordable way to do it. You can buy it down there for $2 or $3. So
Is he speaking on a specific book?
I don't think so. Typically, they do these tours when they have a book either just out or a book upcoming. I'm not the one that. books
Harlem
in.
Shuffle is the book that's out now.
That's his most recent. I don't know, usually they talk about, the process, funny anecdotes.
Yeah.
They take a lot of questions, so they're really interesting. I'm not, for a librarian, I'm really not interested in author talks all that much, like personally, but I always really like our speakers series. They're really well done. So there's that, and then on Monday, we received a check at the library for $14,500 from Matt's Makerspace. And that's Noelle Conover, who was a former Mount Lebanon resident. And she funds makerspaces in schools and libraries all over the place. And she's also helping to support our mental health awareness, or our mental health initiative that we're partnering with Outreach Teen and Family Services. So the money will go towards mental health programming for all ages, as well as STEM programming. So that's all I had.
Has she done this before?
Yeah, she's one of our biggest supporters. She gives us significant amounts of money every year. But she's really gotten on board with our Shine at MLPL, which is our mental health program for all ages. We've been doing that for about a year and a half now, and she really wanted to be involved. So
Is that program through the library?
yeah, we do mental health Mondays. It's called Talk It Out with the Teens, where they just sit and chat. They can chat with a counselor in a group setting about, various things that are bothering them, whatever. We have events for adults, like, Zen programs and sound baths and things like that. We have even a program for little ones, like toddlers, like how to identify your feelings, and people don't think of children as needing, mental health. I don't want to say assistance, but it's something that I think everyone can benefit from, no matter the age. So we've all been learning a lot through this whole process at the library, but we're able to offer some really neat things to our patrons. Okay, so Livia is here now.
Can you, not to back up, Robin, what was the date on Colson Whitehead?
It's a Wednesday, I believe it's April 26th.
Thank you. Anything else then?
That's all I have.
Okay, our junior board members, as Robin pointed out, both are really busy. Probably this time of year and just in general, so neither is here today. I don't know that we heard anything from them they wanted to share, so let's skip over that. On to continuing business. So first thing on our agenda is diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know Anne did she meet with you?
Yes,
Can
yeah,
you give us an update?
sure. So Noah and I met with Ann, as well as Ian McMeans, and Ron was there as well, to discuss what the feasibility of a survey would look like. And the short of it is that we made some progress in talking about how we would get demographic information on existing surveys, as well as bringing in questions that we had from that, and Laura, I'm sorry, you were there as well. And
Yes.
didn't mean to omit you. I was just thinking, who was a main point.
She's so quiet. She's so important.
But we are gonna have, we're talking tomorrow with people who helped run the survey, correct? To iron out some of the details about what it would look like to add in the demographic questions to existing survey data moving forward, and B, to have a survey that does ask some of the questions that we have wanted to ask since kind of the beginning of all this. So both of those options are very much on the table, and it seems like things will be moving sooner rather than later on that, and bringing the demographic data into upcoming surveys. I think Ian wanted to send out another batch of surveys, or the next portion of the surveying by the end of either this month or April. And so we'll be getting that. we'll be getting the survey stuff done fairly soon, it seems.
So it'll be included, it could be included in the next release that he sends out.
Yes,
Oh,
at least whether or not both of the full questions of the full like DEI questions will be there or not, but the demographic data should be able to be included. Yes, definitely in the next one.
Nice.
How many more rounds of question surveys were there gonna be? Two?
No,
We don't.
Oh, okay.
no, I think that's up in the air, but
We'll find that out Thursday.
Yes, exactly, yeah, that's, we should be able to iron out the details Thursday, and then ahead of that too, I'm going to send along some examples of these surveys that have been done in like similar surveys that have been done in other municipalities around the country, so that we can have an idea going into that meeting tomorrow about what kind of questions we can draw from other people and see kind of how it's been done in other places. And I also bring in some university stuff too, just because I think universities have similar sizes to what we're trying to do, whether or not the same kind of demographic stuff, but yeah, no, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else that I may have missed from our conversation.
No, you've covered it, and we have the next episode's tomorrow, so we'll have more.
Stay tuned.
Okay. And I know you just got here. Was there anything you wanted to add on that topic or?
Not on that topic. I mean, I think we're making some progress. I'm really
Yep.
glad we got everybody to the table and moving forward.
Nice.
That's what we like to see.
Okay. The other, I think, open topic on the diversity, equity, inclusion work was around the events. And I think I hate to look to you, but were you circling back with the?
We've had some brief talks about it at the township, but I have to confess, we haven't tied anything down yet. We've just kind of rolled around it. I think, the other thing is I'd like to bring Keith into the conversation, and he's been off. And I think it's only fair to talk about what we can or can't do. But what we have been doing, let me just back up a little bit. We've been very much into dealing with Lebo Pride's situation. Lebo Pride wanted to do their event this year on the Commons, and it's just not very safe with the construction going on. The latest estimation, I shouldn't say this, but July that it might get done. I know they have said May, but they're kind of looking at it going maybe July. But we're really worried about the liability of somebody getting hurt in the construction area or something like that. So we've met with Lebo Pride, and they've met themselves. And right now we're zeroing in on the main park for the event, which we think will be really nice. And what I like the best is it doesn't coincide exactly, but it's earlier in the day. And then like an hour after it somewhat disbands, Juneteenth starts.
Mhm.
You
So
know
I-
what, Anne, I'm just going to interject. Juneteenth actually moved to Friday night or
Oh, okay,
they're
sorry.
moving to Friday night because they were worried that, they want to keep it like a small family picnic type
Yeah.
deal, and they were worried that it would just be too chaotic. But they're actually pretty happy to move it to Friday because a DJ and a step group that wasn't available on Friday. So it'll be a really cool weekend.
it's a
in
win-win.
Lebo. Like
Great,
Friday
yeah.
night, Juneteenth, Saturday, Lebo Pride.
So is that June 16th and 17th we're talking about?
Yes,
And an email was sent to Lebo Pride to let them know that that pavilion is now open for them to register. They gave them first preference, so.
we booked it. It's booked.
Great, yeah. So I think the stars are aligning on all
Yeah.
that. Sounds like, so.
I think it'll be good.
Okay. Anything else on diversity, equity, and inclusion? Those are the two that I remember being outstanding from last time.
Mhm.
Okay, before we move on to the magazine column, and since you're here now, did you want to give us your administrative report? Do you want us to back up for that?
We can. It's very short. Since it's kind of the beginning of the year, I know it's not really because it's March, but in December, we passed the budget. And so now we are approving things like purchasing of trucks and, other equipment, things like that. Because once the budget's approved, of course, then the money can be released to buy those things. So I think the last commission meeting had 3 pages of trucks and the like that had to be approved, so that's sort of what we've been up to. The other thing is, I know, right? We have, this is the time of year that we appoint people to the positions that have been vacated on the different boards and authorities. And I mean, I can't, the stack of applications is like this big. I've never seen anything like it. I was like, oh my God. Pardon me. I'm like, oh, this is a lot of work. So I've been going through mine slowly but surely. We have to remember that some of these committees, including this one, are getting rolled into a bigger committee. So these terms are only for 1 year. What I wasn't prepared for was being politicked for them. I mean, I have people calling me and lobbying for the positions. And I'm like, okay, and I write back, and you know me, I'm blunt. And I'm like, okay, it's a 1-year term. And they're still, and I say to them, I'm gonna pick the people that I think fill whatever spaces you need, whatever holes you need, and are the most qualified. And then you see these people that have applied for like 6 boards. I know, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And then you have to try to figure out which one they might be most qualified for. But the reality is you guys have something like 22 people applying for 2 positions. I'll do my best. That's all I can say.
We have 3 actually, so that'll give you a little more wiggle room because Pam resigned
Oh, that's right.
and then Marisa and
Yes.
Catherine. So that'll give you 1 more spot.
Now, are the boards like, are we like, there's gonna be smaller, right? The amount of people on the boards or did I?
I don't see
One
it
year.
Not for this 1 year,
Or
and I
not the
don't.
next year?
Yeah, I'm not even sure we've decided yet, to be really honest.
Okay.
Just because we passed the ordinance doesn't mean we figured out all the rules underneath it yet. That is to be determined, but we're trying to align what I'm gonna call super committees to more go along with our goals. So this committee is going into a broader community engagement committee, which I think is important when we need to talk about community engagement in a very broad sense. And so I think it should be good. We'll find out, won't we?
So is that process that the commissioners then decide who gets appointed, right? Okay.
Yes, we get to decide, and it hasn't been decided. I want to go a step further because some of you probably have terms that aren't up yet. It hasn't been decided yet whether we nuke all of you or whether we keep some of you or whether we keep all of you. We haven't decided anything like that. And I'm being a little bit facetious because clearly we will want some history going forward. It would be really stupid, only word I could think of, on our part to say none of you can carry on into the new committee because we need the history. So rest assured, we'll be making all those.
Timing on when those are.
Gonna say 2024 before the new committees are formed.
I
And
mean,
the
for the positions are.
Oh, the positions will get filled March 14th.
Oh.
But yeah. I mean, yeah. I've been
Or you
like-
talk about them on the 14th and they're appointed at the second meeting. Maybe
Okay,
you talk
yeah.
about them one.
Yeah, one and then they get,
So will they be in place by the next CRB meeting?
Yes.
Oh, good.
yes, they will be.
All right.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, everything else is pretty, roads, sewers, stuff that probably isn't exciting to everybody. I like it, but then, that's my job.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, sure. We're jumping back to the magazine column. Margaret, I'll look to you for a summary there.
Yeah, so basically, I've just asked everybody on the entire committee to just email Laura if you have some ideas for magazine articles, and you can copy me. So yeah, Olivia mentioned that she may have some ideas, and I know Noah sent some ideas out, and I think Adam has too. So yeah, you could just keep them flowing, and yeah, and then Laura, you can always just let us know if there are specific things you're looking for. I know it's probably what you've been looking for a number of years, but just to remind everybody, so.
Okay. Are you getting enough from us, Laura? It sounds like it then.
There's never enough. I mean, again, there's 34,075 people live in Mount Lebanon. So, people I may never encounter. So the most important thing is to get as many people out there looking for good stories, who have stories to tell, so that when people open the magazine, they see themselves.
All right. Back to you, Margaret. Citizens mediations.
Yeah, so we have one, mediation issue going on right now, which we're working to resolve that, and that's it. So I'm sure there's probably more they'll pick up when the weather gets better.
Do you need any help with that, or you'll let us know if you need assistance?
Yeah, definitely. I can let you know. Yes, yes. Yeah, and Anne had helped out with one of them because it happened to be one of her constituents. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I'm so glad you're there. Because there's kind of a long history in the township of concern over a dangerous situation and then what you can do to somebody on their private property, or what you can make them do with their private property. So it's really interesting, and this is such a great service, because otherwise we'd be at a, really, I don't know what we would do. Just be.
Yeah, right. It just
Yeah.
helps to have somebody, right,
Yeah.
sort of in a official capacity with the CRB, talk to
Right.
both sides. That's helpful, but
Right.
it's really helpful with you involved as well. And municipality came out to take a look at the situation, so it's helpful.
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh,
Good.
nice. Okay,
And that's it.
great. Thank you, Margaret. Residence Academy, Stephanie, do you want to give a summary about it? Would you like to, or I can? It's up to you.
Why don't you, since it's your last hurrah?
Alright, so the Residence Academy, we had our last session of 9 sessions on the 2nd, I think it was. This time we had 2 speakers that we haven't had before, which was really great. We had a woman from St. Clair Health. They had wanted to participate in prior years. Last year, they were just swamped. And the year before that, the timing wasn't right. So this was their first year participating. It was extremely informative, I thought. We had Mary Burks from Outreach Teen Services, which was phenomenal. With some of the things that Robin was mentioning, she went over with the group there. Lots of engaging questions from people attending. But that was our last session. We collected a plethora of feedback forms from the participants, which I've given to Stephanie too. Stephanie, thank you. Do whatever, is useful. We had some of our elected officials attend. We had Senator Wayne Fontana and Dan Miller came with written certificates for folks, the municipality, thanks to who did we have actually?
Steve
hand them out?
Silverman.
Yeah, Steve handed them out because
He's the president.
well, but we had usually, I think in prior years, we had asked, he still was in his
Keith?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Keith would be there and,
Yeah, he
and
was there, he just
part of it,
couldn't
yeah,
physically hand it.
he's still, in his,
Yeah.
but it was very nice. We were able to, thank all the folks for coming, hand all the certificates. We got some pictures. How will those be used, Laura?
Magazine, we'll be using them in the marketing materials for next year.
Okay, good.
Good, and thank you to you for sending social media pics.
Oh, no
Since we
problem.
posted them as we went along, so.
No problem. Yeah. So I think it went well. It seemed to go well. I'll be anxious to see, or you'll have to see how the feedback is, but people seem very appreciative. They seem positive and upbeat. I don't know. Did you go through any of it, Stephanie? Any feedback yet or?
Yeah, I just kind of skimmed, done a cursory look at them, and
Oh,
really overwhelmingly positive. People really loved it. The one common theme as far as improvement is to incorporate more social time into it, which I think we talked to you and I, Catherine and Pam had
Yes.
talked about. But overall, yeah, it was a huge.
Good. Good.
I'll synthesize it and summarize it, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Did you collect feedback after each time or at the very end?
We had a form so that they could record their feedback at the end of each session.
Got it.
And then, but everyone held on to that and turned them in at the end of the last session. But I would gladly have taken it any which way they would have. But that seems to be the best.
That's
And then I was just annoyingly reminding them every time to please don't forget to give it. But it's been really helpful. I have to say, a lot of the modifications we made to the way it works now are from feedback we got from people in the past. So it's really great to have. The one thing I will say, so for next year, obviously I won't be here. Pam and Stephanie were working on it this year with me. So someone, I don't even know if Stephanie will want to stay attached to it next year. I don't know, but it would be great if anyone is interested in being involved with that. I am very willing to chat with anyone about it that might want to talk about it. I think Stephanie has a really great education about it, but I'm If anyone wants to talk about it, please let me know.
I volunteer the
have it.
people I'm going to appoint to this committee.
All right. So there's that. Oh, I guess before we move on, what's the timing? I know we just finished, so we've got a year, but what is the timing? Help me remember, Laura, when we should start thinking about advertising?
It goes in the November magazine and we usually fill up at that point. So we usually start putting it out like in October,
Okay,
November.
so just something to keep in mind.
And we do have a wait list with people that couldn't get in this year that will be given, we'll go back to them in early October for their commitment for January, so.
Okay,
But it does take some pre-preparing on behalf of the CRB. You have to go through the syllabus, the order, update the list, which I can help with, who's in those positions in the community, reach out, make up your minds if you want to add sessions, to take away sessions, combine sessions, whatever. So there is some pre-work before we start marketing it. And then we're usually full by the very end of November, beginning of December. And then we send out, like right before Christmas, we send out an email saying, okay, you're in, here's the syllabus. Make sure you want to be in, otherwise we're gonna pull people from the waiting
Right.
list, so.
good. Yeah, a few of the sessions run over, which is surprising. They go beyond 8:30. Normally police, fire and the high school go beyond the 2-hour limit. Oftentimes those involve tours. And it doesn't seem like the residents mind staying, but they do run over. So maybe we want to, I know in the past, we've just sort of told people that. But we've also done some shuffling to try to fit things better. So however that works out in the future. Any questions on the Residence Academy? Stephanie, is there anything I can answer for you, or I'm not to put this on you, but you have the most information now.
Yeah, I mean, it's assuming I'm still on the board. I don't know how things will shake out, but I'm
Right,
happy
okay.
to help with it next
Okay.
year. It was really kind of a fun experience.
Okay.
Yeah, the new boards wouldn't take over until April. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's a 1-year appointment, so it'll get us to the Residence Academy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Citizen Service Award. So I know this closed, right? We got all of the applicants. Laura collected them all, reached out to me to ask who was getting involved, and I remembered, I hope I got the names right. Margaret, Livia, and Leah had asked to be on that committee this year. So those have been, all of that's been forwarded to them. Do any of the three of you want to talk about where that stands? Do you want to do, you're here?
Yeah, well, we met this week via Zoom and so we divided up who was going to call whom. And and so then we'll touch base again. When is that, the 22nd? And we'll talk about it and come to a decision. So I'll make sure we have that ready to go for Laura by April 10th, if not sooner.
We got a lot of
Good stuff.
applicants to this time.
Oh,
Wow.
Do you know how many?
7?
Oh, that's great. Terrific. And just a reminder, you can always fall back on the ones from the prior year.
I think
If
one
they don't
left.
seem,
Yeah.
although I don't know, every year we get so many really great applicants, so. But they're available, okay.
I guess that's a good, I mean, if that's the protocol, I guess it would be a good idea if you sent us who was nominated from last year. I mean, because is that, even though, so we have 7 nominations, but the general protocols, we still look at the ones from last year as well?
There are hard copies and I don't know who has them. At one point, Mark Trumbull had them, I think, last year, and I don't think they ever came back to me. But the protocol had been usually that you just glance at them because in every year, there's usually somebody who's not eligible. Either because it's a family member of somebody who was affiliated with the board at a time, or they were a municipal, they were loosely tied with the municipality and then they no longer are, like, I think we had a volunteer firefighter or something like that. But that's totally your call, that we don't interfere in that decision-making whatsoever. So it's up to you, but I don't know where the packet is.
I'm pretty sure I have all of that electronic. I remember getting those electronically, so I'm happy to send them to what I have to the three of you, would you like that?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Catherine, that's a good idea.
And then from there, we do a story in the magazine about the award winner, and then the plaque gets updated. That sits outside our administration wing, and then next April at the Boards and Authorities Volunteer Dinner, you'll have the 2024 awardee and this awardee, and they will, somebody will go up and speak on them. They will get to take their plaques, say thank you.
Nice. I already debriefed Margaret on, have a little bit of documentation about like the font and the font size, silliness, but for the plaque, I gave that all to Margaret so that you guys will have that, and just makes it easier for next year. All right, and then nomination of officers. So this is our reminder, right, Robin, to look for people
We
to.
have to vote next month, so we
I
need
guess
some
it-
candidates.
All right, the vote is at the next meeting,
Yes.
which is April 12th. So does anybody want to talk about that now? Anyone interested in throwing their name in the ring?
We need a chair and a co-chair because Margaret is stepping down from co-chair position.
I mean, but I could still, co-chair from Chicago if there's a need for that. I'm happy to kind of keep doing what I'm doing. There are just certain entities, like things that are really taking place in Mount Lebanon, it just wouldn't really be appropriate. And I am back in Mount Lebanon part of the time, but it's just unpredictable, where I'm gonna be at what point, so.
Can we, just maybe it would help if we talk about the logistics of next meeting. So there'll be new board members that Anne is scurrying to find.
Right?
They will come here for their first meeting next month.
Yes.
And there will also be a vote for the chair and co-chair positions next month.
Yes.
So how will the meeting start without a chair and co-chair? Will you do that, Robin?
The
Does
way
that
the
fall on you?
municipality does it is
Okay.
Keith runs the meeting until they elect the new commissioners, so I'll
Okay.
just do the same thing.
Okay,
I'll run the meeting and the first order of business will be to elect the officers.
after the new board members are included, right?
Yes,
So they can also be considered.
I mean, if we don't have a slate of officers,
Okay.
Hello, welcome to the board. You're now the chair.
they basically did that for me at the Rotary. It's what's- President-elect after like 2 meetings. Because they'd all done it 8 times and they want to do it again.
Do we have onboarding content and materials for these?
We
three
did
people?
that.
We did actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Leah pulled some together, which we have. I put that into our SharePoint site that Robin gave us the link to, so that's out there, but I know, I'm pretty sure people have that as an asset too. We have that, and then we have documentation on like not strategy, but like the history of the board. That's also available on the SharePoint site that I think Mark had pulled together for us, sort of how the board came to be and why it does the work it does. That was available too.
Does it make sense to do that outside of a meeting with these three new folks?
You know, if they say they're interested, I would hope.
So
We
that
thought it would be helpful because that was our concern, was we kind of came in and didn't
Right.
have no clue what
they
to
can hit the ground
expect or.
running and get elected
Right,
to be
yeah.
chair.
We had no clue.
I like this strategy. It works for me.
I sent an introductory email to all new board members, so I'm happy to include any
That would be great.
documentation you want me to, just send it to me.
Great.
Can we move on, Robin, without names, or do you want us to wait? Are we?
I mean, I just looked at the bylaws and it just said, annual election of officers shall be held in conjunction with the annual organizational meeting, which is in April. A candidate receiving a majority of the votes of the members in attendance shall be declared elected and shall serve for 1 year or until his successor shall take office.
So next meeting.
So, yeah, unless anybody wants to throw their name in, we can put you on a slate.
Don't be shy.
Catherine, do you want to talk for a minute about your responsibilities?
I'm happy to. Yeah, I think I did before, but I'm happy to do it again. So every month you've got to go over the agenda. Chair and co-chair, Robin sends it to Margaret and I. We double check our notes, see if there's anything other people wanted to add that maybe between the three of us, we can, there's may have been something missed. We haven't done a lot of adjustments to the agenda since it's become pretty standard work in the diversity, equity, inclusion section. When the ad hoc groups were going on, we were making monthly changes so that we remembered topics to discuss, timing, just reminders about things we needed to cover. We haven't really had to do much of that this time. I also try to, me personally, I try to chat with at least one member of the board between every meeting, by phone call, usually by phone. Just to see how it's going, just to get a sense from everybody about how it's going. I apologize for many of the new members. I haven't had a chance to do that with you. Just because we sort of ran out of time, but it's been useful just to check in with people between the meetings. That's not a requirement. That's just something I've done. So that shouldn't really be on the list. And then the other thing is, being cognizant of the number of people we need for a quorum versus how many, what the sort of keep under number is for the sunshine laws. So if you've got little subcommittees going on, it's good. I find it's good to sort of check in. So like I knew, I said that, but I knew that you guys have to see that information about the citizen service awards, but it's nice to just sort of check in and see how that's going. Sometimes Margaret and I will just chat about other things that have come up, things we want to bounce off of each other. But that's the general work, unless you take ownership of one of the things we have in continuing business continuing business, or you've come up with something for new business. Then you would own that as any one of the sort of the lead person on those initiatives would. I think that's it generally.
Thank you.
Sure. All right.
I would be willing to do it. I've chaired a lot of things and, but would need a strong co-chair because I know there's at least 2 meetings I'd have to miss in the next year.
I'd be willing to do a co-chair with Noah. Sure.
You guys make a great team.
Yeah.
I vote for you. Oh, I can't vote. Sorry.
But also, if there's somebody else, I mean, I'm gonna be a new dad in 2 months, so if anybody else that's gonna be more available than me, then I'm happy to see that role too. 'Cause I know
You might want to get out of the house.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
I want to say, and they cry a lot.
That's great.
Not always a bad choice.
Yeah.
So I considered that, and the reason I didn't put my name in a hat this year is because of, having daughters going to college, not having support necessarily every day at home, and having another good daughter in traveling club. It's a lot of traveling and demanding job, but and I do feel also that a lot of time that we had together was kind of, the energy was dissipated because it was this transitioning phase of identity and purpose for the CRB. And I think that we're still, we have to pace ourselves because we're still in the process of transformation, and yet to be seen the role that the CRB will have under the new board. So there are a lot of factors that we're still navigating, trying to rally, the highest impact that we can create for the community under the circumstances and the stakeholders and the change that's taking place in the neighborhood, but in the district. So I would love to stay and be backup for Adam, for you, Noah, if you need me to, because I think the work continues, right? And it's important work. We just have to work together to kind of set realistic goals and make sure we have a clear purpose for the community and for ourselves, because we have to support each other here.
Olivia, do you want to be considered as chair or co-chair?
No, I'll be the inform, because Adam has a new baby coming in, but I'll be part. I would like to continue a part of the board, but supporting no one when Adam is not available, because they're both busy. That will be the, I feel comfortable right now with my bandwidth in supporting the board. Maybe a year and a half down the road I will have more time, but right now it's really thin, and I really enjoy this work, like working with Margaret and Leah on the service awards and having interviews and learning more about our good soldiers out there in Mount Lebanon. Like, this is really rewarding work, and I feel like I'm just starting to really connect with the purpose and the groove of the board, because I'm a doer, right? I'm thinking a doer, and I feel like we've been waiting so much to get things done, and now that's starting to be more involved. That's what I just started to understand more how things are done. So I needed more time to fully commit and lead before putting my name on a hat.
Okay, this is not in our bylaws. The bylaws say the officers of the board shall consist of a chairperson and vice chairperson. Do you see any issue with having a second vice chair position to vote for?
I wouldn't even worry about it. But I'm kind of casual about these things. I think I'm just gonna
You're
admit it.
our authority here, so.
Okay, the authority says that I think you do what's best for your committee. It's not really breaking any rules.
It
We'll
doesn't
just-
say you can't have other boards.
No,
or
No, and I
officers.
think during COVID, when we had situations where a chair and a vice chair weren't, we just appointed somebody, the group just agreed to appoint
Right.
somebody temporarily for that
Like
meeting,
ex-
so.
That's what being, Olivia would be that person.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the more you guys can collaborate, the better the committee will be. I'm all for it.
Okay.
I didn't know I got to make rules. Woo, boy. I don't let that go to my head, right? All right, cookies at every meeting. I'm sorry.
Anything else under continuing business? Those were all of the topics we had on our agenda. All right, new business. Anybody have things to add? Livia?
Yeah, I was just curious to know what, if anybody has an update on what the new chief of police officer shared with us. It was such a nice meeting when he participated here. He came, he candidly kind of opened up his priorities and what he was working on. And at the end of the meeting, he shared something very important about the consortium or the partnership across some local neighborhoods in kind of submitting a grant for a caseworker. Does anybody have any updates on that work stream?
We don't right now. What we're waiting for is to see if we get a grant from the Pittsburgh Foundation, which would provide the seed money for the first year to see if the program works or how valuable it is. And then I think the thought process is we would approach our longtime partner of St. Clair Hospital to help us with some ongoing support. My understanding is, and I could be wrong, is that St. Clair typically likes to fund ongoing projects as opposed to brand new projects. So this is looked at as give us the seed money, let us try it in a specific area, and then we could expand it to more of the MRTSA areas. I mean, we've got 6 communities. So if it works well in Mount Lebanon, then we could expand it to the other communities and hope that St. Clair would help pick up some of the costs. It's important to know, because I was just at a very long finance committee meeting with MRTSA last night, that accounts receivable for an ambulance service are very difficult. Right now, the ambulance service has over $1 million outstanding in accounts receivable. And I tell you that because I think that's a pretty large number.
That's money from the insurance companies they're waiting on?
Some of it's money from the insurance companies, but 49% of it is self-pay. People who do not pay. They just, and the collection rate on that is 15 to 20%. So, it may feel like, gee, it's MRTSA and look how successful they are and we should just be able to have the money for this. Really, frankly, the money isn't there. I mean, it really we have to figure out either a new funding stream or another way to do it, which isn't to say it isn't an extremely valuable program. All of us agree with that. But this is why we were looking to the Pittsburgh Foundation for the seed money, which correct me if I'm wrong on numbers, like 300,000, I think it was. Something, it's pretty large because we have to buy a car. We want this to happen in a car as opposed to an ambulance or a police car, or anything else that could upset someone who's already emotionally dysregulated. So we're hoping for a car and we're hoping for 2 to 3 social workers so that 24/7 we have somebody on call. So it's a pretty hefty lift. Also, we have to send a paramedic with the social worker because according to state licensing, paramedics can do some things and social workers can do some other things. And so oftentimes in a mental health situation, for example, it might involve a drug overdose. And that's something that the paramedic needs to be there for. Or it could be someone is having problems with their emotional regulation, breaking down, the social worker needs to do that. So it's expensive. Let me just say it's expensive and so needed. So, you know, if anybody knows of any other funding sources other than Pittsburgh Foundation, if you have your, you know, other foundations in town that might do it, let us know, because we're fingers crossed, but Mount Lebanon is seen as a wealthy community that should be able to fund everything, and it's not quite that easy. We're not that wealthy. So there you have it. I hope I didn't say anything out of turn.
And did
Yes.
I hear you say that the budget for this pilot project is 300,000?
About three, I think.
And the grant though is
300,000. Yeah,
because in our minutes, it says the grant.
Yeah,
should
it's
be
for 90.
90,000.
and I'm
That's a
trying to,
big gap.
yeah, I know, and I may be wrong with the 300. That could be probably the real problem.
I thought I had heard that like Mount Lebanon is assuming part of the cost.
Yes, I think we are. But
Okay.
I think Mertz is doing some of it,
Oh.
and we are doing some of it, but,
Like a
Just
neighboring
what?
municipality is taking some of it too, or no?
no, not yet.
Oh,
Not
oh,
to
oh,
start,
oh,
because
oh.
we have to start it and, get it going and
I see.
show that it works or helps or whatever, and then approach other funding sources and go back to those other communities. But MRTSA is funded by 6 communities, including us, and we provide the most money because we have the most calls. So how much you give is based on your percentage of use of MRTSA. And we are by far the biggest. We have 7 old age homes. Sorry, wrong term, I'm sure, but I'm old too, so.
Continuing care facilities.
Thank you, continuing care facilities. I need someone to edit me. 7 continuing care facilities in Mount Lebanon, and the vast majority of the calls are Medicare calls for elderly people that are in distress in continuing care communities. And here's another little secret, just so you're in on the money, because this is my thing. When you pick up a Medicare patient, Medicare only reimburses at about $300 to the ambulance service. We cannot bill the person we picked up or the nursing home for the remainder, and it costs us about anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500 to send an ambulance out, depending on whether you need advanced life support or it's, you know, a more minor situation. So you can see that it isn't an easy thing to fund. It's difficult, you know. I just wanted to fill you in because I think it's easy to assume that no one cares when something doesn't get funded, but the reality is the numbers are tough too. So I hope that helps.
It does, that puts it in a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I'm very committed to being very open about how things work. So you can always ask me questions, especially if I don't seem to be clear. I'm probably wrong on the 300,000. I apologize.
So can I ask you a question? This is fascinating to me because of the numbers that I have other parameters of how much it costs to send ambulance to locations. I don't want to go there, but is that a place that I can look at the numbers of the cost, operational costs? And is that public information or is it something?
I'm going to presume it's public information because it's a not-for-profit. And so when you're not for-profit, you have to file a Form 990 with the IRS. And all Form 990s are posted. There's a site called Guideposts, GUIDEPOSTS. And you should be able to go on there and pick up
Their 2022 budget is on their website.
and there it is, it's on their website. Ta-da.
Oh, great.
But you can also see their Form 990, which usually parses the number a bit in different ways, a little bit
Yeah.
different. It doesn't change them, it's just puts them in different categories. Nobody's.
Yeah.
playing games with this.
I do know of a very successful way that if you purchase things through Amazon, you can dedicate partially, you can be like a charitable charity,
Yeah.
nonprofit on Amazon. And those big facilities and buildings, they do bulk purchase. And if they do use Amazon, they could elect the MRTSA because they're partnering, right? And this is crisis management. So I'm sure they have a good relationship. I hope they have a good relationship with those senior care facilities. And
Oh, yeah, they do.
something like that where they would use and dedicate that percentage to the charitable. I think it's
That's a
Yeah.
good suggestion. Thank you. Very good suggestion. I'll ask.
Olivia, are you talking about like Amazon Smile or?
yeah, Amazon Apples. Even before Amazon was something called Apples for teachers. But
Yeah.
that's-
Because the Amazon Smile, I think, just went away.
No, really?
Well,
Yeah,
didn't they decide that they were gonna use 5 different charities?
something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. I hated to see that. I know.
Yeah.
I know, because I always
Yeah.
felt like, it helped my over purchasing in Amazon. Just to be honest, let's just be honest, during COVID, there was a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I do love my air fryer, though. I am one of those Americans. My air fryer.
Yeah. All right, any other new business topics?
I just want to commend you on the
Yes.
amazing work you've done with this.
You're very welcome.
Kathy,
Thank you all. I really enjoyed
hours
all
of work.
and getting to know all of you and working on the things we do. So best of luck, everybody. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Yeah,
Thanks, Catherine.
get on another committee.
And I also want to,
Expect some, to you to first, boost the citizens conference.
Yeah, take about 40 minutes to talk about it.
All right.
I also want to recognize the efforts of Marisa Escajeda and Pam Hansen. I'm very sorry neither one of them are here this evening, but they contributed immensely to this board, so we'll miss them as well.
Good point. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
Sad Robin.
All right, so next meeting, April 12th here. Zoomer here, lots of work to do next meeting. Good luck to all of you. Excited about that.
Way too happy.
No. All right, so we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm all right. That's it. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.